Thanks for staying with us. So we're still on this issue of bullying. And Abisa, I'd like to come to you because you have children in a boarding house. And many parents take their kids to school because you feel that when you go to boarding house, things like bedwetting will teach you. You know how to, you understand how to live properly, how to organize yourself. So when you hear that, oh, a senior bullied me, it's almost normal. You'll be all right. You'll be okay. That's what many parents, that's what normal parents usually say, because they make you'll be all right. It toughens you up. But in your view, is that the right thing to, at this point, for us to say, allow it to toughen you up?
That is so wrong as a parent. So before my children went off to boarding house, I called them. Naturally, they are blessed with words. They are vocal, so they tell me anything that happens. So I called them and I said, look at me very well. You know that I love you, right? And you know that I'm fierce. I'm like a lioness. When you touch my cub, I come after you. You know that, right? You believe in mommy, right? You believe in daddy, right? Do not let anybody do anything that is wrong to you. First of all, report. If they don't do anything about it, because we usually call them every week on Wednesdays and ask how you're doing. We could do a video call, is allowed. Tell me immediately what somebody has done to you, and I will, trust me, I'll follow it up. Don't let anybody scare you.
But basically, people will tell you that we turned out good. Yes, we went through that bullying process.
Not anymore. So that research I was talking about, it was actually a paper I wrote. We realized that 50 years down the line, most adults that were bullied in childhood had mental health issues all over the world. It was a serious. I was crying when I was writing because I've never heard anything like that before. So sometimes you see people misbehave, you find out what happened in their childhood. It's traceable. So not anymore. We don't need that kind of toughening up. I can toughen up my children myself. I can discipline them myself. I allow the normal discipline of you don't wake up, you take your punishment and all of that, meted out by the school, not by any senior. I'm not taking my children to school for a senior that they are paying your school fees as well as I'm paying for my children to handle to discipline my children. That's very wrong. So I told them, be confident enough to tell me if your teacher does nothing about it. So funny enough, last week when he got back, he told me, he said that a senior used the F word on him. And I was like, what? Did you report? He said he didn't want to report till he left school. So he decided to tell me now that he's on holiday. I said, fantastic. I called the house parents. I said, Oga, seniors are using the F word. My kids know all of those things and they know what is wrong and right. On him. You have to do something about it, and I need a report. And I follow through. Say, when it comes to parenting, you have to be deliberate.
So let's thank you, Bisi, for taking us to the issue of parenting, because when a parent says, oh, they starved my child, he now looks malnourished, and you're thinking, where were you? Did you pay attention? I know they don't allow parents to go every time. They are visiting days, but do you attend visiting days? How consistent are you in following up with the house messes and all that? So we also have responsibilities. Yes, they go to these schools. Things happen. But what role does the parent? Because I feel that the easiest thing to do is to pick up the phone and post. But is there a process that should have been followed? Did we go to the house? Did you make a formal report? But did you give them time to redress the issue? What happened exactly to the point that you now had to go on social media? Or was it the first point to call?
Okay, and then Mariah, let's not also make the assumption, or I guess we can make an assumption both ways. So we may think a parent will just pick up a phone. I remember this particular person, we all know her. And she had an issue with a parent, with a teacher in her children's school, to the point that she had to change her children's school. But she started by speaking to them. And nothing really was done until she went to social media and they called her. Why would you take our matter to social media? And she took her children out because she knew that from then on, her children would be further bullied or just not paid attention to. So sometimes maybe we would have to ask the woman the question, what she had done before then. She may have noticed that her child was losing weight and talked about it. And you know how children can be. Some people have that personality. I have two children with two very different personalities. My younger one will tell you everything. She will even tell you what you were thinking before you thought it. But my son is the sort that would like to handle things himself. He's very much like me, and so that makes me worry for him for boarding school. He's the sort that it's not a big deal, or I don't want to worry my parents. I will handle it on my own until it becomes a big problem.
We have to wrap up on this, unfortunately, but it's a topic that we need to discuss for a whole day. I mean, many mothers and fathers are concerned about how the safety of their children, especially when they're being bullied by their colleagues or their seniors in school. Let's take a few tweets before you wrap up.
Before we take tweets, please, before we take tweets, let me just quickly say this, that while we're discussing the parental role and the school roles and all the responsibilities that should go around, let's also talk about this thing. I know that we have a rule in schools that parents cannot visit a child unless it's visiting day. Right. But this woman mentioned in that video that she had a dream and that she had like a bad feeling. And she went to the school and she wasn't allowed to see.
I know go come out.
You see, there are some cases where you go crazy.
If every parent has a dream, if every parent has a dream and comes to school that same day,
I'm not allowed that. There are rules. No, Mariah, I'm not disrupting your school activity. Yes. I want to see my child. No, I must see my child. I'm paying for the school fees. If I go to my children's school during school hours, I want to see my child. I will see the head mistress. She will bring my child out.
There are rules and regulations.
Mariah, there are rules until you see. For every rule, there's an exception. I'm not disrupting the school activity. I want to see my child.
I have a bad feeling and I want to see my child.
We must, when we conform and things like it will deteriorate so far. This boy allegedly was molested, looked very malnourished. What must have happened if the parents had come to the school? Like, what if he had died? How would that woman live with herself knowing that it's happened before? How would she know that? I went to the school, they didn't let me see, I didn't go crazy. Please, go crazy. You go to banking halls, they give me some drama, I go crazy, I get what I want.
But there's an issue we've not talked about. Okay, this young boy was bedwetting. These are little things that makes a boy or child feel less of a person. You lose your self-esteem because you're embarrassed about it. Now, you're taking a child who bedwets to a boarding house where he's likely to see his colleagues. How does a parent handle that situation? Because that child already himself feels already he feels like he deserves or he's deserving of that bullying.
Yeah. So first of all, we need to find out if the child was bedwetting before he went to the boarding house.
Yes,
or he started the bedwetting in the boarding house. If he started the bedwetting, that's already a signal that something was going on. That child was not psychologically okay. And what I expected the teacher to do was to have called the mother. Your child is bedwetting. Something is happening. Let's work on something for that child. Right. We don't know how classy that school is. We don't know their level. But these are some of the things that teachers and school owners will now start putting in place. As a caregiver, your primary responsibility is to take care of any child that comes into your building. It's not just about collecting the school fees and collecting the money. Right. We need to pay attention, aside from academics, the well-being of that child should be paid attention to.
We have to run. We have tweets.
People are not hearing us, so
people can't hear us. Yes, I just wanted to add to that bedwetting. I remember in secondary school, what they would do is they would put bedwetters at the end of the dormitory, closest to the bathroom. And they had a senior who was supposed to wake them, at intervals to make sure that they go and use the bathroom. Some people, you would see that they were, they felt embarrassed by it. But there was one particular person who was over me. She was very proud of herself because she peed on me many times before she was finally moved. But it just shows that sometimes schools can get involved. Yeah. That your child bedwets, it's not the only reason to take a child out of boarding school. If the school does the proper thing in taking care of them and giving them the help that they need, it will stop.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up on this, but I said it's not a topic we can do for a whole day. It's practically a whole week topic because there are so many angles to this, and hopefully maybe our producers will allow us to take this conversation further, because there are other parts of his friends, where the young boy tried to reach out to friends. Nobody's there to help because they're all in their own various predicaments. They're also still trying to please one senior or the other. How do we still have that senior-junior relationship in schools today? I would like to hear from schools. Do you encourage it? Does it help your children? And for those of you that have been to school and you've been through that process and you feel it helped you, how did it help you? How can we help this? How can we rework it to ensure that these children actually benefit from this process? Because some of us actually had school mothers, school fathers that took care of us.
We have some Ogumola Emmanuel says parents should do unscheduled visits to their kids' school. The true conditions which their words are subjected to.
You can't do that. You can't just do. I know that there are certain schools you cannot just show up. There's a process. You parents, you have to model it.
It's not when these kids in school on their toes, getting service and ensures that you get the service you paid for. Suleiman says, thanks for speaking up. We have been in touch with many of our boarding schools. Many of them are not up to reason. Some of our boarding schools are not what you expect of them. Someone else is saying that she shouldn't have shown her son's face. People would, if she didn't show her son's face, people wouldn't take her serious. You should see, we could see from before and after of the pictures of the boy that the school has done evil to him.
We have to wrap up, but I think I like the idea of having an association of boarding schools. Yeah. I think that, that's just, because there has to be a body that ensures that there's a proper standard.
That's what all Ministry of Education should do, but we've had issues where Ministry of Education gets...
Because there are model colleges that are supposed to model this, but I don't know how much of these model colleges actually model this.
We have a Ministry of Education who has a body that supervises boarding schools. But we had a case in Queen's College where they said they got a letter from the PTA reporting issues in the school and it wasn't dealt with. So maybe an independent body might be the best.
That's all we can say. We're going to move on to another... less stressful topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Less stressful.